These are more ominous sounding.
Welcome.
I feel like I
to
should be
this
doing
episode
yoga.
Of Understable Minds. Today's very special guest, a newcomer to the tour from the volunteer state of Tennessee, Macie Velediaz.
Hello.
Yeah, you have to talk like that the entire time.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, it's going to be
That's me.
we're not going to get to much. It's going to take us a long time to get through this episode.
We'll ask a couple questions, but, you know.
I had to talk really slow.
Right. Yes, please.
Lots of pauses.
So as AJ mentioned, Macie is our special guest for today. You've been on Team Dynamic Discs for a little while now, but like AJ also alluded to, this coming year will be your first year on tour. So some people may not be as familiar with you as maybe some other of our team members or the person that you had the pleasure of driving out here with alongside your husband, Zach Melton. Depending on when these episodes come out, Zach Melton's episode will either be out or will be out shortly after this one. Go ahead and listen to that after this. And if you've already listened to that, we do apologize. This will go much smoother, much more insightful, and hopefully much more enjoyable as well.
Yeah,
Macie,
look at that. She's already smiling.
Right. We couldn't
It
get
took us like a solid 45 to get a smile out of Zach.
Yeah. And I think that was just out of pity. Of like,
Right.
it's...
Yeah.
So, Macie, you are from the Tennessee state. I almost said area, but it's not an area. It's a state. It is one of 50. Kind of give people a brief introduction to or introduce yourself to everyone else. If someone walked up to you on the course and said, "Hey, who are you?" What would you say?
I would say I'm Macie Velediaz. I play disc golf for Dynamic Disc, and I'm from Morristown, Tennessee, the volunteer state. You want to know a little bit about Morristown? Or?
Please.
Okay.
Sure.
So Morristown is a great community. There's so many people that play out there, and we have 4 great courses, and me and Jamie live like 5 minutes from each of them. So
Nice.
we're always out there playing.
Jamie
Everybody's
is her husband, by the way.
Yes, Jamie is my husband. But yeah, everybody's super nice. That's how I actually got started playing, because everybody was just willing to give me disc and willing to help out, take me out to play. So yeah, it's a really great place to play.
Okay.
So when was that? When did you get started? What time frame, like year wise, and then your age wise?
So 2016 is really when I started playing. So I was 16 then.
Okay.
Jamie introduced me. He was out playing all the time, and I was like, either I'm going to play or I'm going to walk.
I'm going to be here anyways.
I started playing, and yeah, he gave me a bunch of his old stuff. And actually, there's this girl named Brandy Howard, and she was out there one day, and I used to be so nervous to throw in front of people. I was like, actually, I don't know, embarrassed, I guess. I don't know. I thought it wasn't good enough or something.
Sure.
And we were on one hole, and she's like, just throw. And I was like, I don't know. And she's like, just do it. So I threw, and everybody's like, oh my gosh, like, good job. Like, you're going to be so good or something. I was like, okay. So then I started playing. So I was
Really?
like, yeah, it's
Okay.
crazy how that happened. I guess she gave me confidence. I don't know.
Right.
Yes.
So was that the first time you'd ever thrown, or just the first time you'd thrown in front of other people?
In front of other people.
So
Yeah.
how long, from the first time you played until then, how long was that?
It was like maybe 2 months, maybe.
Oh, so super fast.
Yeah, like I started playing really fast. It was like pretty easy for me to learn.
Okay. Had you played sports kind of growing up, leading up to that point? Did you have an athletic background?
Yeah, I played basketball since I was little, and then I also played softball since I was little. So
Okay.
it was kind of easy for me to learn. But I actually started throwing backhand first instead of forehand. So
Okay.
The
Cool.
opposite. Usually people used to throw forehand
Right.
first.
Usually
so.
people think of baseball players throwing sidearms.
Yeah.
So what was that transition like? Were there any habits that kind of you took from softball or maybe basketball, but that would be a little bit different, mechanically?
Yeah, definitely like when you're throwing like a backhand trying to get like power, you use like your legs a lot, like your lower body. So like when you're swinging a bat, you rotate your hips.
Oh, yeah.
So like that really helped me.
Yeah.
But it's really different because like softball and basketball are team sports, and then like you have like your individual plays. So it's I don't know. pretty much that, just the hips and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
What position did you play in softball?
I played shortstop and center field.
Oh, so you had
Okay.
fast hands for the shortstop and a good arm for center field. Nice.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you? I always hear people talking about like a right hand backhand drive is kind of like a left-handed batter's motion. Did you bat right or left-handed?
I batted right-handed.
Okay, so
Yeah.
then never mind.
And Jamie's always like, when our kids grow up, they're going to bat left-handed and play baseball so
Right.
that they can play.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried throwing left-handed?
No, I haven't.
Okay.
It hurts. I had to do it last week one time.
It's not cool. Zach does it, so I
Yeah.
don't really.
Yeah.
The more you can just distance yourself from him is, career positive movement.
Well, and I think the team sports background kind of explains the little bit of anxiety that you had with initially performing and throwing in front of other people. With the team sports, there's a lot of comparisons that you have to make on the fly and like continuously. And so with the going into the individual sport of golf, it's way different. And so, but the thing about it is like you don't have to. You're going to be different than everybody that's playing around you. But I think I think the team sports background kind of explains that little bit of hesitancy to throw. And then you also said confidence, and like the opposite of confidence is kind of like doubt.
Yeah.
And so when you are comparing yourself to someone else who's better than you, the easiest thing to do is to doubt yourself. So it's and then it just kind of proves that value of the master teaching the student. So
Yeah.
just wanted to kind of see if that explained a little bit of that.
Yeah, no, that's definitely right. Like when you first start, you like always compare yourself. Like, how can I throw like this person? Or, but then you realize like it's all your own. Like you all just do your own thing. If it works, it works.
Right.
And it's natural too to compare when you're starting out because when we start out, we just have very little experience to draw back on and trust. And so
Yeah, because you don't really know, so you're kind of looking for that guidance. And if you've never cooked before and you're trying to learn how to cook chicken, then you can just search how to cook chicken, and it has to be cooked for a certain temperature, a certain amount of time, and it has to be this temperature internally and whatever. And there's an objectively right and wrong way to do it. But with sports, specifically disc golf, like you could look up how to throw far, and it could be a video of Paige Pierce throwing really far, and what works for her might not work for you. And so you could be trying to fit a square key in a round hole, and it's just not working. And you do have to kind of just do it on your own.
yes.
And just learn by trial by fire.
Yeah. Trial by fire. Yeah. Trial by error.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still in the error phase. I'm trying to get out of there. We're
Same.
We
Always
all
learning.
feel like that some days.
trying a lot of errors. Yeah. So that's kind of your background in disc golf and sports as a whole. Who is Macie off of the course?
We have a dog. His name's Raider. So I'm like a dog mom.
Nice.
And
Okay.
he's crazy, but I don't really do much other than play, honestly. Like that's really what me and Jamie do. That's like our hobby. That's our job now. Like it's what we usually do. But I love to watch movies, go to the movie theaters.
Okay.
We watch a lot of Marvel stuff.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Don't talk to me about Spider-Man because I still haven't seen it yet.
Okay, I
please.
won't bring it up.
What do you get out of those Marvel movies? What draws you to them, and then what kind of keeps you after you're finished with one? What keeps you coming back for another one?
I just like the suspense. You don't really know like what's going on. Like you hear stuff, but you don't really know until you go watch the movies, and then like the big stuff happens, and everybody's going crazy, and that's what I really like about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that those first few times that you got started playing disc golf, there was that little bit of suspense that you probably felt within yourself, like, okay, I'm throwing in front, this is the first time I'm playing around in front of Jamie. First time I'm playing around or throwing in front of Brandy. First time I'm playing in front of someone else who I've never met before but looked up to. And then I guess I'll join in on the fun, the opposite end of the spectrum. First time I've played in front of Zach,
Yeah.
someone who I don't look up to.
Right. You
I'm
probably,
bad, I'm bad
probably
at
beat
that.
him by a lot.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
No, he's really good.
He's okay.
But does that kind of make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Do you feel that
Yeah.
like that little bit of suspense, like and nerves?
Definitely, like my first time playing, when we played Jonesboro, it was my first time on coverage, playing with Paige and Sarah and Katrina. Like it was so nerve wracking.
Who's
Really?
your favorite Avenger?
Yeah, it was.
What was that, Danny?
Who's your favorite Avenger?
Sarah Hokum. Oh wait,
Spider-Man.
Spider-Man?
Yeah.
I just said Macie.
I think I'm Spider-Man now, but it was Iron Man, and then he freaking died. Like, I haven't
Whoa, I
gone,
didn't watch that.
man.
No.
I haven't gone to see another Marvel movie since then because I'm
Really?
so mad that Iron Man died. I'm going to eventually. I want to see the Spider-Man ones to catch up, but like, come on.
Oh, so
It's
you're Team Spider-Man without even having seen the newest Spider-Man.
I've seen. I haven't seen the animated one since they came out with the animated one. I haven't seen any, but like
okay.
Spider-Man's just the coolest.
Yeah, he is pretty cool.
Spider-Man's all right. All right, Macie. We're a disc golf podcast. You're a disc golf athlete. We should probably talk a little bit about disc golf. Talk to me about your off season so far. This is going to be your first year on tour. So is this off season any different than, the previous year or years for you?
Yeah, it's a lot different. I stopped working at my other job, so I've been practicing a lot. Me and Jamie go play like all the time. We have a basket and a net outside, so I throw in it and we putt. So it's really different from actually having free time to do that, because I used to work like 8 to like 4 sometimes. It gets dark at 5, so it's really hard to get out there and play. But having a lot of free time to play it really helps so much.
Yes. Oh yeah.
So what is a typical, maybe a typical day or a typical practice session for you like? Do you practice every day, or do you kind of wake up and say, my body's not feeling it, or today I just feel like putting or throwing or this, or just going and playing? What is that kind of like for you?
For me, like, I'm not the type of person who likes to go out into the field and just throw a bunch of discs. I like to go out to the course and play.
Okay.
Because at the course, I'm working on every shot. And we usually just go out to courses and play. But when we're going home, we like to do a lot of putting practice, because I've actually like changed my putting form, or tried to at least.
Okay.
A couple weeks ago, I was with Heather Young, and she was like spending an hour helping me putt. So I mean,
She's a good one
She's
to
a
learn
good one,
from.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
What have you changed? Have you gone from more of like a push putt or a spin putt?
I've gone for more of a spin, because I've used to like spin/push it, and I like bring it up and then putt it. So now I'm trying to keep it at like my belt and putt from there. It's really hard, because I like to try to bring it up every now and then, and it just looks terrible, but it's gonna look terrible till I get it right. So
Right. Yeah.
Do you think playing on tour and not playing like on your home courses all the time has forced you to do that, or?
yeah, it definitely has, because looking back last year, there was a lot of chances where I had to birdie, because I thought I saw somewhere where I was like second in fairways or something.
Okay.
I don't know what it was on, but
Sure.
and I know that a lot of those could have led to birdies if I'd make my putts. So
Right.
my putting was a big thing that I needed to work on.
Okay. It's interesting you bring that up. That was something that we had talked about earlier this week on another episode of what's more important, being able to make your putts or putting yourself in the position to have putts for birdie. So what do you think? Do you think that making your putts when you have the chance is more important, or do you think putting yourself in the position to have a putt that matters, maybe, have a birdie putt or have an eagle look or whatever?
Yeah.
Do you think that's more important?
That's a really hard question. Because, I mean, they're both so important, you have to have. I think being able to putt is better, because if you can putt from like circling in, or even like 40 in, like you might give yourself more of a chance to birdie the hole.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I can throw and get 20 feet away, but if I'm not making it, it doesn't really matter. It's like I threw it 100 feet away.
Right. That's not what I was hoping you'd say.
It's kinda,
You're thinking the other way?
Yeah, we think that, according to the stats, like if you see the people who win events, usually it's like fairways, hits, and circle 1 in regulation, circle 2 in regulation, that the winners are number 1 or number 2 in. And they can be like 4th or 5th in circle 1 putting. or circle 2 putting. And I think, if anything, your season last year kind of attests to that, because you did really well. You placed highly at a lot of events, and you said yourself that you're kind of struggling with your putting. And I think that if it had been the other way around, if you'd been jamming putts but not giving yourself opportunities, I don't know. It's interesting to think about, because it's like a different threshold for each one.
Yeah, like for me, I guess I would think of it to be the putting matters, but then it's because I guess I got the fairways dialed, so I need the putts. Maybe
Right.
somebody else that like has the putts think that the fairways are more important because they might not have that shot.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm starting to think that maybe this is just an instance of stats kind of lying to us,
Yeah.
because a
little bit.
Danny and I are both in the category of getting off the tee and putting yourself in position to score is more important. Danny is an open player. Danny has won open events. I play in advanced. We don't need to talk about how many times I've won. But AJ played on tour. Macie, about to play on tour. Eric McCabe played on tour, won a world championship. All of you say that it's definitely putting. So maybe I'm wrong, okay?
Well,
maybe it's me.
I mean, I think I kind of said it the other day when we were talking about it, is like, and what I said was, putting, you're going to perfect that skill much sooner than you're going to perfect the skill of driving and even approaching. And it's not because of the human's capacity to learn and achieve those skills. It's just the intended target, the goal in mind. Putting it's a lot closer to pass fail than driving is. Whereas driving, it's like you can, if you were to give give yourself a grade, it's not pass or fail. It's like you go out and some days you have A- driving, some days you have C+ driving, so, and so on and so forth. And so I think then once we understand that and recognize that, then we kind of realize, okay, I need to back up. I need to back off a little bit. I need to put a little bit less pressure on the drives and focus more on the putts, because the putt is, again, what I'm going to perfect sooner. And then it becomes it becomes a bit more valuable.
Yeah, because I like your thing about pass fail, because the putt is either in the basket or it's not, right?
Yes.
Whereas with driving, you could get 100% fairway hits if you just threw it 50 feet in front of you every single time. No matter what hole it is, if you just did that fairway hit, boom, got it, 100%. But you're going to have 0 birdies because you're playing one stroke below par from the get-go.
Yeah. And a big thing about putting too is I think I kind of mentioned this as well, but like you have less distance to cover. So, and usually less variability in relation to driving and throwing shots off the tee or throwing shots from the fairway. It's like, a putt, like when you think of a drive, it could be anything. It could be an uphill drive. It could be a downhill drive. You could be uphill with a side slope. You could be throwing into a headwind going uphill. You could be throwing in with a crosswind. You could be throwing with like a strong tailwind going downhill with the bat. It's like all these different variables. And so when you think about like, well, what do I have a better chance of perfecting? It's going to be the putt.
Sure. You're probably not going to perfect either because it's hard.
Yeah.
Still hard, man. And then you got to deal with these dumb baskets spitting out, cutting through. Dude, that's a good putt.
Right.
That should have stuck.
Yeah, that's the worst part. You think you make it, and it's like, oh, never mind.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Actually, no. So, Macie.
That gets tricky.
Yeah. We'll go back to you for a little bit here. What is kind of your typical off season, but then now as we're sort of ramping back up into the season, does it change? Do you focus more on, you said that you don't really like to go out to the field, you like to go to the course. Do you kind of go to the course? Do you force yourself to go more frequently or go with more of a purpose and say, I'm going to throw 18 sidearms off the tee today. I'm going to do this, or I'm going to really focus on throwing X disc well, or anything like that?
Yeah, me and Jamie will usually go out and maybe do sidearm only rounds, or like just backhand only rounds, or putters, and that's what we usually do. We'll go to the field but like I'm not going to spend like 2 hours there. I just
Sure.
maybe an hour, maybe 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Same with putting. Like I don't spend like an hour or so. I'll spend like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
When you're playing, do you play for score when you're practicing on the course? Are you like throwing your shot and like trying to make a putt, trying to shoot a new course record or a new personal record, or are you trying to, or do you like if you have a hole that you're with a shot that you're struggling on, say like you're struggling with turnovers and you come to the hole or you have to throw that, do you sit there and practice it and get those reps in?
We mostly keep score. Me and Jamie are very competitive, so we like to see. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Like going out there and maybe I usually throw side arm on this hole, but I'm gonna try to throw in a backhand turnover just to see how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, we usually do stuff like that too. Like we don't keep score all the time, but most of the time we do just to see like if I've improved
Sure.
on that
Yeah.
course or not.
Right.
It's funny. There's people that'll, when I tell them that I usually don't keep score, I just go throw for fun. They'll either be like, "Oh yeah, that sounds like way more fun," or they'll look at me like I'm crazy. Like, why would you be playing if you're not trying to win? I don't understand what's going on.
Well, it's like well, I think also what's in that question is how are you going to play and measure yourself over time to see if you're improving or not. I think that's also part of that's like
Yeah.
one of the valuable things about keeping score.
Yeah, for sure. Is there any one specific thing that you are looking to improve on between now and when you actually first hit the road?
My putting's mostly a thing that I'm pretty sure I've got everything else dialed. Like my sidearm feels pretty good, my backhand feels pretty good, but my putting is really lacking. I'm actually playing a tournament next weekend in Knoxville.
Okay.
It's a C tier, but I was talking to Heather's actually playing it too, and I was like, Heather, my putt's gonna look bad, but I don't care. I'm not switching it back. I will just keep putting like this, and if I shoot a terrible round,
Right.
so be it. I'm just going to keep making myself do it, because if I
Yeah.
keep trying to change it back, then I'm just never going to fix it.
That's
Yeah.
a good question. Or that brings up a good question for somebody who's like really competitive. Or when you were like learning or starting out, obviously you learn something new and you have to adapt your game to like add that. And there is a little bit like one step backwards, 2 steps forwards kind of thing. Was that harder to do do you think? Taking that step back, taking that hit to your performance?
Yeah, it was, because for a long time, like I knew my putting wasn't that good, because I get to like 25 feet and I'm like barely getting there. Or like, and I can putt from 20 and in, like there, no problem. But as soon as I get like close to the circle or just like right on the line and I have to not step, then I'm not getting it there. So it was either like I had to fix it, or I'm just never going to reach that level where I want to be.
Right. Yeah, that's
But even for like,
Same.
even when you were like developing your backhand, if you had to like change your grip or, I don't know, change how you were pulling or something like that, did you find it hard to like make those changes knowing that it was going to have a hurtful impact at the beginning?
Yeah, it was hard, because I used to kind of like my backhand, I used to kind of fan grip the disc instead of like power grip it. And then I didn't even realize I was doing it wrong until like Jamie was like, "Hey, show me your like how you're holding the disc." And I was like this. And he was like, "Okay, we're fixing that."
not anymore. You're not.
Yeah. So like I'm really happy Jamie like taught me everything, because he wasn't like soft about it. He just told me like, "Okay, you're doing this wrong. We're fixing it. Let's do it."
Yeah.
And that's how like I became the player I am. Without him, like I would probably just been like, it's okay. I'll just keep it. It's
Right.
whatever. But he really pushed me to be the player that I am. So
Yeah.
like when I had like that power grip, I wasn't throwing as far, and then or that fan grip, and now I got the power grip, and it took me a while to fix it, because I'd find myself like
Yeah.
going back and forth, but it really helped a lot. So yeah.
Yeah. There's always that temptation to just try to focus on doing what you're doing now better or
Right.
changing what you're doing so that it just becomes better naturally. So it's an interesting balance. That's cool.
Yeah, it always, like you're talking about grip, it's easy to go back to your fan grip because you'll throw a power grip and, you might yank it a little bit because it feels bad. And you're like, well, this just feels better, so I'm just going to go
Yeah.
back to it. But it's the whole thing about, you got to crack some eggs to make an omelet of like, or you have to spend money to make money, or you have to kind of 2 steps or 1 step backwards, 2 steps forward, like Danny said, of, you're going to have to make these changes that are uncomfortable or feel weird or hurt at first to then improve upon that. But it's good that you're going through all these things now, because like you had said, you've been playing for a little while, but it's not like you have 10 years of, muscle memory doing something the wrong way or not the ideal way, I guess would be the better way to phrase that.
Yeah.
So we're moving towards the beginning of the season. What do you know what your first big event is? Do you know when you're going to fully hit the road for the first time?
We're going to Waco.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are your thoughts kind of leading up from now until you hit the road for Waco?
I'm trying to just get everything figured out, like who I'm staying with, where we're staying, how we're getting there. Am I playing tournaments in between these big tournaments?
Yeah.
C tiers? Am I playing a couple A tiers, silver? So that's what I'm really trying to figure out. And also, like, am I going to be able to get into these tournaments too?
Right.
Because I've been like looking up all the registrations. Like, okay, I better make sure that I'm on time right now because I
Right,
have
yeah.
to get
Set
in.
an alarm in your phone.
Yeah,
And,
like I think I'm second on Waco, so I think I probably should get in, but I'm not for sure. But
right.
hoping I get in because I'm super excited about Waco. It's probably the one I'm most excited about.
Is that the one that's kind of similar to courses back home, I would imagine?
Yeah, it kind of is. Kind of open / wooded. It's and a lot of people tell me that it like will fit my game good because I have like the backhand, forehand.
Yeah.
So I think I don't know. I'm just super excited about going to Texas too. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting that you brought up. Anthony asked you, "What are you doing? Where's your head? Where's your mind at? What are you doing to prepare?" And it's like the first thing that you brought up doesn't have to do with throwing the disc at all, but yet it kind of does.
yeah.
And yet it leads to throwing the disc more in the future. And we just talked to Zach, and we touched on a similar topic like recovery and the preparation that it takes in order to continue playing and to continue giving yourself opportunities for success.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's good. It's good to hear. And again, yeah, praise to you for keeping that in mind, everything that's off the course as well.
Yeah. I'm going to have to learn how to like stretch more and warm up more too because I usually just go and play. I don't like stretch or do anything like that. And I'm going to have to start if we're going to play every weekend.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
Zach is a good one to learn that from because he's got a lot of
yeah.
stretching before, stretching after.
Well, he
warming up,
has
cool
to,
down.
his age
Right.
and everything.
Yeah.
At his age.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
That's exactly what we're talking about. I mean, we're talking about like how sometimes people refer to certain sports as like a young man's game or young woman's game, but yet there are elderly people or older people that
Senior citizens like
Yeah.
Zach.
yeah, the veterans on tour that tend to be the most successful and still like at the top of the rankings. I mean, like Paige and Katrina are both over 30 years old. Paul Macbeth over 30 years old. Ricky Wysocki, I don't know if he's
I think Rick's 28.
something
he's
like
close.
that. Yeah, so it's and yet there's also the much younger players like yourself who have a lot of success and a lot of potential. So, but then what's the difference? Because once we figure out the difference between the younger and the older players, we figure out the value of that maturity. And it's easy to say like, well, being mature is valuable, but what does that mean? So that's my next question for you. Like, what do you see in yourself that is mature, and what do you recognize in yourself that might be immature, but you can learn from it and fix it?
I think I've matured a lot on how I react if something doesn't go my way on the course. Starting out, I was like so mad all the time. Like you can tell too, like on the course, like I was just not talking. I was just like doing my own thing. And now I've learned to like just let it go because there's some things you can't control on what happens on the course. You can go play a course the day before and shoot like 12 down, and then the next day you're shooting +6. I mean,
Right.
I think I'm really good at that, letting stuff go. But I think, but too, I can work on that more, because there is some times where I'm like kicking stuff and I'm like,
Right.
oh my gosh. And then Jamie, I'm over here like, why did I throw that disc? Or, so it's like,
Sure.
I could learn from that. And I'm also good at that too at the same time. I don't know. It's
Right.
Yeah.
It's something.
No, I see you.
a strength of yours, but it's still something that you could
Yeah.
improve on. And I think that's something that anybody could say. I mean, you think of, I don't know, a guy like James Conrad, who like the most upset he'll ever get is like darn.
Yeah.
But even I'm sure he would even say the same thing of like, you don't know what's going on inside his head. There could be times where he's thinking back to 3 holes ago about why did I throw this disc, or how could I, I jumped early on my putt and I missed, or whatever. And like, there's all these things that, some people show it externally, some people show it internally. But I think everybody could improve on that for sure.
Yeah, going back to like the age you're talking about, like that's one thing I like about disc golf is it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still go out there and play. We have a guy in Morristown who's like 70 out there throwing flick rollers and
Yeah.
like it's
Getting
so
creative.
cool. Yeah, it's so cool to see, like it doesn't matter how old you are, you can still go out there and throw.
So we were talking about, kind of having the negative affect you. Do you notice that, does the opposite happen where you had, I think it was whatever's right before Dynamic Discs Open. I think it was Jonesboro. You had a 4th place finish. Dynamic Discs Open last year, you had a 3rd place finish. Does that kind of add any additional pressure where a negative, having a bad finish or throwing out of bounds or whatever can be frustrating? Does having a really good finish or a really solid outing, does that kind of give you added pressure of like, I have to do it again now? Or is that more of just a confidence thing of like, look, I can do this?
Yeah, I think for me, it gives me a lot more pressure to do good.
Yeah.
I want it to give me confidence, but in the moment it does. But as soon as I get back home, I'm like, oh my gosh, like, okay, now how can I play the next tournament really good? Or, going from DDO to, I think it was, what was the next tournament I played? Maybe Ledgestone or Ottawa. Which one's before?
I think Ledgestone.
Ledgestone was.
Yeah, so I played really good at Dynamic Disc Open, and then we go to Ledgestone, and I didn't play so well. So I was like, oh my gosh, like, was like this just like a one-time thing? Like, am I just like, it was like all running in my head. Like, is that going to happen? So I don't know. I think that's something I need to work on too, is like know that like I am good enough to be playing these tournaments and don't just doubt myself.
Yeah, and I bet, AJ, you could probably talk to this more, but I would bet that that's more of an inexperience of like, yeah, okay, you've only played, we'll say 5 pro tours, and you had 2 really good outings, and then one that you were okay with, and then maybe 2 that you weren't so okay with. Whereas AJ may have played 40 pro tours, and okay, maybe 15 of those were not what you were happy with, but you had 20 that you were really proud of. Is that something that, as you're on the road more, just kind of naturally will happen?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it does. Yeah, it does happen. And the thing about it is that within those experiences that we could easily classify as failures, there's always a positive.
Yeah.
There's always at least one positive quality or one positive instance in what we have to, what we have to call a failure. And I'm saying like what we have to call it that if we're judging something as either a success or a failure, kind of like that pass fail. But then as soon as you add more details to it, then you recognize, okay, well, yeah, I missed cash at this one weekend, and within that experience of missing cash, I birdied this hole and this hole and this hole, and I made this putt and this putt and this putt, and then you use that confidence to then push yourself forward to the next event. And it's all about, I go back to this one quote from this book called Zen Golf that says, remember the positive and learn from the negative. So if you have to judge your accomplishments, your past accomplishments, if you have to judge them so harshly like that, positive or negative, then that's a simple mantra that can kind of help you push forward. And then also recognizing within the negatives, there's positives. That's kind of, and then you just continue to remember the positives, and you attach that to your own self-worth. And then you're like, oh yeah, okay, I do. It just dispels that whole imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I struggle with coming out of like a 3rd place finish at Dynamic Disc Open. Like, I struggle with what can I have done better. Like, I'm still not like
Sure.
pleased, and I don't know like why I struggle with that so much.
Because you want to win.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, so I want to win, but it's like I need to learn how to, when people come up to me like, you did so good, and not just be like, yeah, but I could have done this,
Right.
Like take it in, like, yeah, thank you, So that's something I struggle with too, is maybe not. I'm not good at taking compliments. I always want to like back like, oh well, I could have done this or that, you know.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, well, that's okay. That's okay. I mean, like we just said, you take one step back to take two steps forward.
Yeah.
And a big part of that is kind of being real with yourself and admitting to yourself that you maybe were less than perfect.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's admirable to want to be as the best you can be, but recognize that I said it's admirable to be the best that you can be, and I did not say it's admirable to be perfect, because we're all imperfect. We all make mistakes. You know, everybody makes mistakes.
Yeah.
Everybody has those days. So I don't know. That's
Everybody knows what I'm talking about. I know.
yeah. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I mean, it's that's part of it. That's part of the journey, and yeah, I mean, but it's scary to go through that.
Yeah.
Like Zach and I just talked about 2 tournaments from 2018 in which we were at the very top, at the highest level of competition, and we lost and we failed.
Yeah.
And for younger players, a lot of times they're described as being fearless. But what's absent there? What is it that they're not afraid of?
Yeah.
What they're not afraid of is the failure, because they haven't experienced it yet.
Yeah.
And so but the part of being mature, one of the like character traits of being mature is accepting that fear, accepting the risk of failure, and knowing that you're going to come out on the other side better because of that. It's kind of like cough syrup. You know, that it tastes really bad. It tastes really bitter.
True.
You know, you're not like
You don't want to drink it, but you have to.
You're not like trick or treat. Oh, I hope they put Robitussin in my. You know, it's like no. You're saying
First of all, if they do, arrest that person.
Don't go back to that house.
No.
And yet the cough syrup that like makes you go, it's there to help soothe your ailments, to help. I'm pointing to my throat. You know, to help. I don't know. Yeah, to get rid of the cough. But that's kind of like that bitter experience that Zach and I both shared. It was bitter because the result was obviously the opposite of what we set out to do.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Zach talked about Idlewild, and I know for a fact that he wanted to win that tournament when he was on the lead card with like 6 holes to go. I'm pretty sure he wanted to win that tournament, and yet he didn't. Yeah. And yet he relives those moments in his head, and he doesn't relive those moments and like, oh, dang it, every single time he says it. He relives those moments and says, man, I'm so glad that I was in that position. And I'm so glad that I was able to learn from that. And, I do the same thing when I think about the Ledgestone Insurance Open in 2018. It's like, yeah, I went out there that final day to win that tournament. I knew I could do it, and I knew that that's what I wanted to do. And so when I didn't do that, I just had to remember why I was there in the first place and trust myself that I put myself in that position for that reason.
Yeah.
So, but again, it's like, it's really scary to go out there and know that that kind of failure is there. What makes it less scary is going through it, and defining it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're taking your 2021 season as a relatively small sample size. It almost kind of shows what you were talking about of like that success having pressure, where at Jonesboro and then Dynamic Discs Open you came in 4th and then 3rd, and then the next time you were on the Pro Tour was Ledgestone and Idlewild, and you struggled at both of those events. But then the next time you were at the Pro Tour or on a Pro Tour sized event was Music City, where you came in 3rd. Yeah. So it almost kind of shows that up of like, I can do this. This is my game. I'm at this level. and then that internal pressure of like, oh man, I just did this thing, now I have to keep doing it, and then
Yeah.
letting that get the best of you, and then coming back from it and saying, you know what, no, I can do this, and then coming back and getting another podium finish. So it's really interesting that the reflection of like what you're saying, literally you can look at your last year and see that in front of you. That's really cool, especially since that's I think you played Idlewild the year before, so you might have had a little bit of quote unquote tour experience, or kind of
That course, it does it to me every time. I don't know why, and I feel so confident every time I go play. I'm like, let's go. Then it just eats me alive every time.
really.
Yeah, it does. I don't know why. Like I like that type of like play, especially
Right.
like I always say that there's a course called Francolino Park in Morristown.
Okay.
And there's a course called Panther Creek, and I always say that it's like the mixture of those two.
Okay.
So it's like I'm used to that, and then we go play, and I just don't do well.
It's just the mixture of both parts of those courses that just don't work for me.
I guess, yeah.
That is really interesting because, when I think of that region of the country and the courses that are there and that kind of golf, you think like woods, thick woods, tight gaps, and things like that. So, it's interesting. I wonder why that is. I wonder if it's like a subconscious, maybe you could talk about this more, AJ, of like a thing of like, I feel really confident, but then in the back of your head, it's like, well, last time it didn't go great. And the time before that, it didn't go great. So I might be confident, but also like, I don't know.
I realized at that course it was my up shots that were getting me. I put myself in great position to get the birdie. Throw straight into the OB. Every time you're like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. That's the most frustrating for me, because the weakest shot in my game is if I have to throw like 130 to 180 foot backhand.
Yeah, mine too.
Because it should be so routine and it should just be so easy, but for whatever reason, it just isn't for me.
Yeah.
And so anytime I play a course where it's a lot of, maybe a relatively short par 4 where I throw off the tee and then I have 150 feet left of the pin, it's like, I should be getting up and down from here every time.
Yeah.
But 30% of the time, just yank.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel that.
Do you ever
Dang it.
Do you ever try to like walk in slow motion? Do you ever try to walk really slowly, but keeping your tempo like imagine you're trying to walk across, and you're like, okay, I'm going to walk really slowly, and you go boop boop boop
Okay.
boop, but then you could
For the
also
audio
say,
people, AJ's walking with his fingers
I'm going to go,
across his hands.
take a step, pause, take a step, pause, take a step, pause. Sure, but compared to taking a taking a step and taking a slow step and taking a slow step, you still covered the same amount of distance in the same amount of time. But yet taking that like really slow step requires you to use like so many more muscles than just going step, step, step.
Right.
So that's like physically that's the challenge. That's what makes those shorter shots difficult, is you have to intentionally slow down. And intentionally you have to intentionally slow down while keeping the same like range of motion.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, mine's just full power, go. And it's
yeah.
Yeah, I need that disc. I need a disc that I can throw as hard as I can.
Yeah, me too.
And it's just going to go straight 100 feet and then stop.
Yeah.
Just give me a brick. That's
Wherever
all-
the basket is, just let my disc
Right.
throw it hard as I can and stop right there.
Yeah, just however far that is. Whap.
Right. Well,
Come
and
on,
I guess you could say it's, if you were to build a routine for like a task that you execute frequently, like brushing your teeth, the more details you put into it, the slower you'll be able to brush your teeth. But it's going to be more difficult just objectively based on the amount of detail that you put into that task. And so that's why like with, smartphones and everything, it's really easy to just look up like, what's he talking about? Like routine. How do I don't even know what routine is, but wait, let me just look it up right now and I'll find the definition for you.
Google. Really quick while you're
Right,
doing
boom,
that.
there it is. A sequence of actions regularly followed. Boom,
Yep.
did it.
Nailed
But
it.
if I had to say, wait, what does he mean routine? What is the definition of routine? Leave here, put on my jacket, hop in my car, turn the car on, take a right out of here, take a right on the 50, get on, roundabout, get on 6, turn on commercial, park my car, get out, lock my car, walk up the steps to the library, open the door to the library, blah, 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 blah. It's like all those different steps. That's kind of, you have to do that on the course, or you have to do that when you're learning how to throw, like in the practice field, in order to do those difficult things, like throwing the 150-foot upshot. Like, it's difficult to look up a word in the dictionary. It's easy to look up a word on your phone. And so it's easy to just to go quickly and throw full power. It's difficult to throw, to move your arm slowly and throw 50% power.
I usually just shorten my reach back and throw everything else the same, and that works okay.
That works?
Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Which is...
Counterpoint to everything you just said. Boom, face.
Boom. We did it. Yeah. Okay.
So
That's fair.
You had a great point there, but I thought of that, and I thought it would be really funny.
yeah, AJ, you're dropping bombs right now, but have you ever just not reached back?
Just,
And then
Just shorten it.
Right, just do everything the same. Got him.
Yes.
We've broken AJ.
What was the other thing that we were talking about?
I don't know.
Yeah, sorry. That's my bad. That's what happens when I ramble sometimes.
I do that too sometimes.
Just kind of goes. All right. So, Macie, quickly, it doesn't have to be quickly, but before we get to the highlight of the end of every interview, our very highly anticipated trivia game, I want to talk to you about some of the discs that are in your bag. Some people may not be as familiar with your bag as they are with, like we were talking about Zach earlier, or AJ or Danny, discs that those players like. What are kind of a few of your go-to discs?
Well, I have 6 Raiders in my bag right now, so
Nice.
I guess
Sweet.
that's a go-to.
Yep.
I'm going to try to dial that back and take some of those out, because there's some of them that just do the same stuff. I just put them in there. Oh, gosh.
Right.
But I like the Justice for forehands approaches. The Felon, I really like the Felon.
A lot
put
of
with
overstable
Wardens.
stuff. Nice.
Yeah, Wardens.
Ayo.
I like the Explorer, and I have like 2 Explorers. One that's like more unstable, one that's more stable.
Yep.
The Sergeant's really nice. I really like it.
Mm-hmm.
I go, and then Enforcers and Defenders for like more of a headwind staple disc.
Okay.
And then I have some Sheriffs for like more of a hyzer flip,
Yeah.
distance shot.
So would you describe your game more as kind of like a finesse, throwing a lot of hyzer flips, or more power shots of like, I'm going to take something overstable and I'm going to throw it hard?
If you asked me this like 5 months ago, I would have said hyzer flips.
Okay.
But now I've started to learn how to like throw big anties and try that. So now I think it's more of like a power,
Okay.
more of power shots.
Okay. Are you leaning more towards that, or just trying to work on that because it's not your game before and just trying to kind of balance the two?
Yeah. At first I was just trying to like try it out and see how it works, but now I'm really liking it.
Yeah?
So I think it's more of my style of play.
Okay. That's very similar to how you are, AJ, of like taking something overstable, hit it hard, and then kind of let it slowly come back.
Yeah, it was. It
Well-
was for a long while. Yeah. And then I realized, I don't know. Yeah, it was, but then it kind of went back to that, what I was just talking about with like the detail that you put into a routine or a technique. I found that doing that was a little bit more simple compared to the hyzer flip. Yeah, I don't know. But then also I'm pretty sure all those force flexes is what kind of messed up my arm. So
It was probably more of the force because you're just
Flexing on them.
boom. Yeah.
who
Because you were
knows?
throwing them too hard
Right.
was the issue. If you just threw them normal hard.
This is a conversation for me and my doctor.
Yeah, this is not, you should not listen to me on this at all.
Oh, my favorite mid right now is the Trust.
Okay.
I really like the Trust.
Yeah.
It just glides, and it really holds any angle you put it on. Like I like to throw it for like forehand anties. I'll just hold the ante, but then like for my backhand, it'll just fly straight and then hyzer out. So it's like it just does everything I need to do.
Yeah.
Definitely get you one of those.
Yeah, those are good.
There you go.
It might be Raider because you said you have 6 of them in your bag. If you had to pick a favorite disc, Raider?
I don't know. I really like the Felon. That's
Okay.
because I trust it. Just a little bit of Annie for a forehand, and it's going to come back.
Yeah.
And then Raider would be second.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Very good answers. All right.
I like that Maverick. I don't know about y'all, but
Yeah, the ones
Yeah, I
without
like
the
that.
Zach stamp. But
Right. The blank Lucid X ones are the best. Anything that is Lucid X but hasn't been stamped yet, get yourself some of those.
again, I'm not good at it. Those 2020 Lucid X Mavericks, the version one, that was so good.
They're all good.
It's very good.
Just that guy. That's the thing.
I guess.
All
No,
right.
I can't do
Wait.
it. I love him.
Yeah, he's okay. He's all right. Macie, it's time. We're gonna stretch your brain a little bit, really
Okay.
dig deep and find some knowledge in there.
we might have to dig.
Get out your scalpel.
That is not how I meant for that to come across. I apologize.
Let's see what you got in that wrinkly old brain.
Right. This is the part of the show where we play How Well Does Macie Know Macie? These are going to be questions about you, about your disc golf career, things that you may not pay attention to or may not know off the top of your head. So if you don't get them right, you will do like Zach. I think he got a goose egg. We asked Zach 5 questions.
Yeah.
I don't think he got any of them right. So
Figures.
he set the bar on the floor and still couldn't quite walk over it. So, first question for you, Macie. Across your sanction, these are all PDGA sanctioned questions, so local minis or unsanctioned things may not apply. Across your career, how many 1,000 rated rounds do you have? And you'll get bonus points if you can tell me the event or events that one or any of them.
So,
were at.
like, if it doesn't count for the PGA, it doesn't count.
Right.
Okay, 1, I think, at Jonesboro.
What year? I guess you only played Jonesboro.
Last year.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
just so
easy.
we're just like when you say it doesn't count for the PDGA, what we mean is that a sanctioned event.
Yeah, like women's nationals.
Is that the throw pink?
Yeah, the one they had at Winthrop.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought
Okay.
I shot 1,006
Yes.
on that one too.
Okay. Nailed it. Already
Okay.
beat Zach. We can end the game now. and
There we
you're
go.
So yeah, that one it doesn't count towards your rating, but the rating of the round exists. It just doesn't apply to your play rating. Yeah. So you've
Okay.
twice. You said 1,006 at Throw Pink last year, and then 1001 at Jonesboro also last year. This time next year, I bet that number will be higher.
I hope so.
That's the plan.
These next two are going to kind of play off of each other. So the win percentage of your entire career, the amount of times you've entered an event and won, what do you think that percent is?
I don't know. I think I know the number of times I've won.
Okay, I'll take that.
Okay. No, I don't. Never mind. Okay.
Man, it must
so
be
I
a
played
lot.
like 36 events, maybe. Is that
That's you're saying that's how many you've played, or how
Played.
many you've won?
played?
You're saying you've played
No,
36
I don't,
events.
no, I haven't. Okay, hold on. I don't know how many events I've played. Let's see.
If I say that
Me
you've
neither.
played 57 events lifetime, how many of those do you think you won?
Okay. 27.
Not far off. You've won 33.
Okay. See, that's why I was getting confused. I knew it was 30s, like in the 30s
Uh-huh.
or something, but I don't know if it was like, okay.
Yeah, so 58%, more than half the time. Hey AJ, do you just win
Nope.
every other event?
Not even close.
What if you did that and then 8% better? Would that be good?
What?
If you won every other event and then just 8% more than that,
Yeah,
pretty sick.
that would be good. That would be pretty good.
Pretty good. Now we're going to narrow that down into just 2021. Of the events you
Okay.
played in 2021, you played 19 of them, 20 if you count, there was a sanctioned league that you played in, but you didn't
Okay.
play in all of the events, so I'm not going to count that one. So you played 19 sanctioned tournaments. How many of those do you think you won last year?
9.
You won 10.
Oh, I was so close.
Bonus.
basically what we're saying is you won half of the events last year. What caused the slump? Why?
I know, right? What's up with that?
So far below your career average. That's just it's a shame to see, really, if
I
we're
know.
being honest.
Dang it.
That's what happens with with the bigger stage.
Yeah.
With the bigger stage, it's just eventually you find that draws in competitors that are going to be better, or they're at least going to be different.
Yeah.
And so when it's like focusing on the differences brings takes your mind out of yourself and focuses on someone else, and so then you kind of get distracted by that, and
It's
then-
tough.
Yeah. That's the challenge that we all face is trying to balance that, because I'm not going to say like don't just completely put the blinders on and don't focus on anybody else, only focus on yourself. If I said that, then you probably
gotta check
would never
scores
learn.
on UDisc and look at
Yeah.
the scoreboard when they're carrying it. and whatever.
Jamie's my UDisc guy.
Well, and and good, you brought him up. Jamie's the one who's taught you, and you are not Jamie.
Yeah.
You are Macie. So it's like there you go. Case in point. You have to focus on other people at some point.
Yeah.
But I think part of a skill to learn is how to balance that.
Yeah.
All right. Our final question. Unfortunately, I could not find our normal final question. Hopefully this time next year we'll have access to that information. But your final question is a very impressive, more impressive than a 50 and 58% win percentage, I think. Across your career, how many times have you finished outside of the top 10?
Okay. I gotta
You've
think.
played 57 events. At least as of the last time when Danny just said it a minute ago.
Yeah.
I don't think you've played since then. So it should
Yeah.
still be accurate.
Okay. I just went and played tournament. And I'm right back.
Right. Yeah, it was quick. AJ has a tendency to talk for a while, so we could have missed it.
Okay,
That's when I'm on. That's when I'm on the
say
mic. I talk even more off the mic.
20.
You think you finished outside the top 10 20 times?
10. I don't know.
This is outside the top 10, so you finished 11th or worse.
It's really hard to say.
Give yourself a lot more credit than you're giving yourself.
Okay. 10.
Keep giving yourself more credit.
7.
Keep giving yourself more credit.
Oh my gosh. 5.
Keep giving yourself more credit.
4.
The
A
suspense.
little bit more credit.
3.
3 times.
Wow.
In 57 events, you finished outside the top 10 3 times.
I was thinking it's low, but I was like, man, I can't say low. And I think I'm like, no.
Never. I've never done it. It's not happened.
Yeah, that's I've never thought of like that. That's
3
crazy.
times. And like you were talking about earlier, unfortunately, 2 of those times were at Idlewild. So if we scratch
Just
that
one time.
course, right? If you just never
never
played-
happened. I don't even know what you're talking about.
right? Yeah, if we could hit up the PDGA, just get those erased. Just one time. That's it. In 55 events, it would be
Yeah, that's crazy.
pretty solid numbers.
Thank you.
How is she ever going to win the Idlewild Open if she doesn't learn from her past?
Yeah, right.
Experiences,
No, next year I
so.
got you.
Okay. All right.
I'm never gonna say bad about Idlewild again. I'm gonna say I will.
I mean, I know exactly where you're coming from. I remember the first time I played there, and I was just like on the phone with Steve Dodge during like a rain delay or something. Like, Steve, this place is terrible.
Hey man, what the heck's going on down here? Are these trees moving?
Yeah, this place. Yeah, we
I
need to.
swear I threw it there, and then like out of nowhere I hit a tree.
Right. I know I threw a good shot, and then it's just on the ground. Like,
It's a tough course.
it's not going to be Idlewild. It'll be Idle Win.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Got it. In your face, trees. So unfortunately, yeah, like I said, unfortunately, I don't quite have access to, well, it's not that I don't have access. You're not listed on Statmando yet since you haven't been on the Pro Tour full time. This time next year when we have you back, I'm sure you'll be on there. And I'm sure that the Statmando folks will have you added, and then we can ask you our typical question. But until then, you're not allowed to know what it is.
Dang it.
oh, dang! I was gonna say like, can we tell her the typical question so she can
We
prepare
can tell her.
for it?
Okay, great.
There's not much preparing that you can do for it. But yeah, go ahead.
There's a
and tell
lot
her,
of
AJ.
actually. There's too much preparing because the question is how many strokes have you thrown, or how many times have you thrown the disc in competitive play.
In sanctioned play, your total number of strokes.
Spoiler alert, it's going to be thousands.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It'll be a lot.
I don't even know what I would say.
Right. It's
Like-
yes.
Don't worry about it.
Very
Just don't worry.
difficult question.
I'm gonna start counting.
Right. Yeah. You're just gonna
The way
have
I
Jamie
know.
keep track. All right, Jamie. 1,
Yeah.
2, 3, 4, and at the end of every event, you're gonna have a Google Doc and do the
I'll
whole
come
thing.
back prepared.
Or just whatever you see Statman on the road, be like, hey, can you guys add me? And then it'll just be right there in front of you. But until that point, we don't know that number quite just yet. Macie, I want to thank you for both coming to Emporia so we can do this, and then also for sitting down and doing this with AJ, myself, as well as Danny. AJ, thank you for sitting down and doing this. Danny, all the way over yonder, thank you for also. He's waving. I can see. There we go.
Hey.
He's behind a curtain. I could see part of his hand waving.
Thanks to you too for guiding the conversation.
My
Yes, thank
pleasure,
you. Thanks for
Angel.
having me.
Well done.
Absolutely. Where can people follow you on social media? How can they get in touch with you if they want to support you on the road?
Yeah, Facebook, and then also Instagram. My username is Macie__Marie.
Two underscores.
2 underscores.
Get them both.
And we have a YouTube channel, but we don't really do much with that. But we're going to try.
Okay.
We're going to start doing that.
What's that?
Sweet.
How do we find
it's
it?
M_J. And then it's, I don't know the rest. Honestly, I haven't been on there in a long time.
Follow you on Instagram and
Yes.
Facebook. You'll post about it there, and then
We'll-
people
There
can
we
go
go.
and
We'll find
it.
it and have it in the show notes here for
Yeah.
this episode.
But we're going to start doing stuff like that, especially on the road. Like I want to start
Cool.
doing that.
Cool. Are you going to be, I don't know if this is maybe part of the reason why you're here, will there be the option or potential for people to pick up a Macie Velediaz tour disc this year?
Yeah, I'm going to have a tour disc, and then I'm also picking up some fundraiser discs too. So
Very cool.
check those out. And also, I'm going to be doing a giveaway soon. So check that out on my Instagram.
There we go.
Yeah.
There we go. Cool. Thank you so much, Macie. Best of luck to you on the road this year. We will we'll probably see you again come the end of April.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. AJ, Macie, Danny. See you later,
Names.
folks.